Why do saltwater fish school up in really specific spots just like this? Guys, you're going to love these three case studies. They're all drone footage where you can see fish moving in specific areas. And we're going to talk about some of the science behind why these fish are in these specific areas, ultimately helping you catch more fish. Now, if you don't know about the 90-10 zone, we talk about it a lot. And I'll just show you an example real quick. And if you look on the over here, you'll see some fish moving, right? Just so you can kind of get an idea of lay of the land here where the fish are. So let's just assume that this, what you're looking at on the screen, is 100%. That's the full pie, if you will. Well, if you look here, there's no fish, there's zero movement anywhere else except this one little area. That's the 10% zone. So what that means is this is all a dead zone. So if you happen to be fishing over here on this flat or over here or even around this corner, because we took a drone off this entire area, you are not going to catch anything. All of the fish are right here. And real quick, before I go into this full case, these three case studies, we do have a full book about this. It's called Scientific Saltwater Fishing. And what I'm covering in this short video is just one of the three pieces that we go in depth on in that book. It's completely free. I'll put a link down below here in the YouTube video where you can go get the ebook completely free. And there's a video that goes with it. It's about an hour-long video, and the book takes about an hour to read. But it is well worth it. I highly encourage you to get that afterwards. But first and foremost, let's just talk about the science of why fish school before we go into why they're in these specific spots. Well, fish school for the same reason that humans did as tribal people. It's strength in numbers, right? It helps us for protection. We're able to go get food easier. They're able to go feed. And of course, obviously, to reproduce as well. And so not all fish are like this, but in general, if you catch a big snook, like these are two big snook and these are the redfish over here. If you catch a fish in general, like a snook or redfish, that usually means there's others around. Now, some of us are better than others at bringing fish in without spooking them and dropping stuff and scaring the whole school away. But in general, know that if you catch a fish like a snook or redfish or speckled trout, there's normally more in the area. But we're not going to talk too much about this. I know if you're here, you want to be able to find those spots that hold the fish, right? You want to be able to find those 90-10 zones. So let's just focus on this area on the why. Okay. So number one, we have some structure. This is a point. I wish I had the rest of the footage on here, but it got cut off. You never know what you're getting on the drone sometimes with the glare. But you can see these are some oysters and some patches of grass. A little bit of oysters and some grass here. This is a very shallow 2 to 3 foot flat, and this is a point here where this mangrove is. So the main thing I want to bring up here is structure. You'll also notice if you look in here closely. Whoop, not that one. Let me keep going down. This is a little bit of a pothole, right? There's a little indention here. So it's a slight, even though it might only be like half a foot, there is a slight depth change. So these are all different types of structure. The point is structure, this splotchy stuff, the grass is structure, the oysters are structure, and even this little pothole, like any sort of change in the bottom of the water, you can see it even better right here. Like that's a little pothole. Sometimes you find trout in here. These are all forms of structures. My brother Luke always says, if you maximize the structure, you're going to maximize the chances that you're going to catch fish. So we're constantly as anglers trying to find that 90-10 zone by maximizing the amount of structure. And you can see here, there's some redfish moving right here as I move the cursor. All of the fish were here in this one small area. And when you have those epic days, it's because you found the 90-10 zone. When you had the days you're on the struggle bus, and we've all been there, it's because you're fishing in a dead zone. So our job as anglers is to identify the 90-10 zone. And once again, maximize the structure, maximize the amount of bait that you're seeing. You're going to maximize your chances. So let's move on to a completely different one here. This is a really unique drone footage. So this is a big area. Let me just show you the full. I did get the full. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So you can see how big of an area this is. So I took the drone around this entire island, and lo and behold, look at this. You can see them from. Let me move the cursor here. You can see them right here. Whoop, the bottom, right there. All of the fish were right here in this one school in this one specific area. And what do we have here? We have a point. We have a depth change. You can see it goes from that dark green to the white sand. We have depth change. We have one school here and another one here. So out of this area, this is the 90-10 zone by far. And I ended up following the school around. a bunch of nice snook in here. And there's the other school is a little small school of trout, but all the fish were right here. So if you've been fishing anywhere, and that's our angler right there, ended up catching some nice snook in this school. But if you were fishing anywhere else on this entire massive area, you were not going to catch fish. They were literally all huddled up here in this one area. And once again, we had a lot of different forms of structure here. We had a lot of different depth changes. Whoops, let me go back here. We had a lot of different depth changes, right? We had a point. So we had a lot of different currents that were going this way and that way. We had bait over here. The bait was here. The birds were diving earlier. There's even a school of jacks that kind of came in. Jacks are a little bit different. They're certainly a schooling fish, but they're more roaming around a whole lot faster, and they don't stick around as long as these schools of snook did. But it was just wild. Like all the activity was happening in this one area. And if you've been fishing way over here or anywhere else in this entire area on that given day, you would not have caught a single thing. It was all right there in that one area. So this 90-10 rule is absolutely critical. And once again, it's just one of the three things we talk about in this scientific saltwater fishing book, completely yours for free. Let's pull up another one as well. This one is unique because you don't actually get to see the fish. It's a little bit dirtier water, but if you watch closely here, it's my brother fighting a fish. So he's actually fighting a fish in this spot. Wow, look at all the structure, right? That is an oyster bar. This is a pretty big one. It's pretty obvious, but look closely here. So we had positioned the boat perfectly because we saw that there was a pothole here and a pothole here. Guess where we caught this fish? It was actually caught right in this pothole. And we ended up catching a few more over here. So we got a point. I mean, you have another mangrove point over here. There's just so much structure here. It was amazing. But all the fish were in here and right here in these two spots. Once again, maximize the structure, maximize the amount of fish you're going to catch. And we didn't have an epic day just in this one spot. But let me go back. Had you been fishing over here, like, because this all looks good, right? Or even over here, or even over here on this part, you would have caught nothing. All the fish were in these two spaces, right? The 90-10 zone in full effect. And you can even see my brother's reeling in it as we speak. That's what that splashing water is. Isn't this cool? I mean, this is so critical for you to become an angler. If you, I always tell people, if you do nothing else, right? Forget about lures and tackle, all that stuff that's fun to talk about and fun to buy and test out. If you do nothing else except just focus on really truly understanding the 90-10 zone, you know, using science, right, on tides and why fish are in these types of spots at certain times of year, etc., you will become a better angler. And the tackle, your boat or lack of boat, none of that stuff matters if you can just dial in that 90-10 zone. It is absolutely the most critical piece. And here at Salt Strong, we always like to over deliver. So instead of 3, I'm going to give you 4 different case studies because I love this stuff. Don't you love just seeing these fish? And these are massive snook, by the way. And this is another one. We took the drone up. If you look, like you don't see any other movement anywhere. The drone ended up spooking them. We went a little too low, and as soon as you go up with those drones, it puts off a little bit of buzz. And these fish, especially snook with that long lateral line, I mean, they hear and sense that. But look, all these fish are in this one area. There is nothing else moving in this entire area. So I'll stop it right here. That's a pretty big area. And this is a flat. It gets, 3 feet, 4 feet, up to like 1 foot. They're all right here on this edge. So one, we get a little bit of a break in terms of the depth. It goes from that 1 foot to the 2 to 3 and 4 over here. Number 2, look, this is a little bit of a pothole. And there was some bait in here in this area as well. And lo and behold, 90-10 zone holds true again. All the fish from this one spot. So if you've been fishing up and down this flat, you are not going to catch anything. They were all right here. And another part we talk about in the scientific saltwater fishing ebook that I encourage you to get today for free is positioning and approach, right? Because had you come in, let's just say you wanted to go fish, and this is, well, let me, man, look how big those things are. Let's just say you happen to be fishing in this area and you were going to fish over here. And so you slowed your boat down here. You've already spooked out the fish, right? And so much of it in terms of really being tactical is even how you approach and position your boat, kayak, etc. once again we talk about that more in depth here. But isn't this cool? I mean, it's just so powerful, this 90-10. So one, we know fish that do school, and oh yeah, wow, here's the what I was looking for earlier. So this is a massive area, right? I mean, this is a pretty big flat here, and all the fish are in this one little spot. And here's what's really wild. We've gone and fished this place before. This was more of a wintertime spot, and it was all based on wind direction. So this is a mangrove line, and this was the wind protected area. So we got sunlight and shallow water. This is the middle of the day. Okay. The wind was coming out this way, so the wind was not able to hit this water like it does in the wintertime with that cold wind. So fish in the wintertime, especially like in the middle of the day, they're looking for areas where the sun has been heating up and haven't been hit by the wind all day long. So had you gone to this area in the summer, it might not have been as good, right? That's all learning about the science of why fish school in these specific spots. But in the wintertime, with the wind coming this way, this was the ideal spot to catch those fish. And once again, if you want more, we go in depth in the scientific saltwater fishing book. I'll put a link down below. Make sure you get your copy. There's also about an hour-long video that goes with it. It is everything I wish someone had shared with me when we were struggling from ex-bass anglers to trying to figure out this inshore saltwater game. So click down below, get it. Hope this was helpful. Leave any questions or comments down below and make sure to click the link, and I'll see you over there on the other video.